What is the Big Beautiful Bill? On July 3rd, Congress passed what is called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, signed into law by President Trump on July 4th. Supporters describe it as a tax and immigration reform package. However, critics argue that makes historic cuts to programs that millions of low income Americans rely on, especially Medicaid and SNAP. While delivering large tax breaks to the wealthiest Americans, this bill significantly reduces funding for Medicaid, SNAP, and other health programs. In total, it proposes over $1 trillion in cuts to safety net programs. At the same time, it includes trillions of dollars in tax cuts, with the largest benefits going to high income households. Cuts to Medicaid and healthcare. The Washington Post article 17 million Americans would lose insurance under Trump plan talks of Medicaid cuts. One of the largest impacts on this bill is on Medicaid. It proposes hundreds of billions of dollars in Medicaid cuts, making it the largest reduction in the program's nearly 60-year history. It also adds strict work requirements. Adults ages 19 to 64 would need to complete at least 80 hours of qualifying work per month to maintain coverage. Why is this concerning? Many low income individuals live in areas with limited job opportunities. Seasonal hourly workers may struggle to meet reporting requirements. States may not have the resources to manage the added paperwork. Rural hospitals could face severe funding cuts and even closure. Estimates suggest that millions of Americans could lose health coverage as a result. Schools are also affected since Medicaid is a major source of funding for school nurses, therapists, psychologists, and special education services. Many school leaders predict layoffs and reduced services if these cuts take effect. Cuts to SNAP and Medicaid and food insurance, cap- caps, article The One Big Beautiful Bill, SNAP cuts would strain food banks amid rising food insecurity, talks of SNAP cuts and food insecurity. The bill also cuts approximately 186 billion from SNAP through 2034, the largest cut in the program's history. Right now, millions of Americans experience food insecurity. Food insecurity has risen in recent years due to inflation and the expiration of pandemic area assistance programs. SNAP has played a major role in helping families afford groceries. If benefits are reduced, families may turn to already overwhelmed food banks. Children may lose automatic access to free school meals. Schools may struggle to provide universal free lunch programs. Facts from an assault on children, the devastating impacts of proposed budget cuts on America's kids, talks of how kids are affected. Children who experience food insecurity are more likely to face poor health, lower quality diets, behavioral changes, lower academic performance. These effects can follow them into adulthood. Other impacts on children and families, additional proposed cuts programs like TANF and the Social Services Block Grant, which help fund child welfare services, foster care, child care assistance, and family support programs. When funding for these programs decreases, families have fewer resources during times of crisis. This increases stress on communities and schools. So where is this money going? The Article 7 ways the big beautiful bill cuts taxes for the rich informs us where this money is exactly going. While safety net programs are reduced, the bill includes about $4.5 trillion in tax cuts over the next decade. Estimates show the top 10% of earners would receive large annual tax reductions. The top 1% of earners would receive even larger annual tax reductions. The bill also equality accumulates $175 billion towards immigration enforcement and detention expansion. Critics argue that the bill increases the national debt while shifting resources away from income families and toward wealthier households. My conclusion is that the Big Beautiful Bill represents major changes in healthcare, food assistance, and tax policy in the United States. Supporters say it promotes economic growth and reform. Critics argue it places a heavier burden on low income families while benefiting the wealthy. No matter where you stand politically, these changes affect real people, especially children. We need to stay involved, informed, and think critically about how policies shape our future and our communities, no matter where you stand, no matter where you live, no matter who you are, if you're rich or poor. Well, actually, if you're poor and you're not part of the 1 or top percent, you are going to be affected. Um, and there's nothing really we can do about it unless we talk to our representatives and we get involved and we think critically about who we're putting in office and who we're putting in the House and who we're putting in Congress. It is our job to speak our mind and to tell people how it is. It is our job. As the American people, as the Constitution says, for the people by the people. So make it for the people by the people. Help it represent. Thank you.